Can you let me know if you can hear my voice? Let me know if my voice is clear. Hello. Hi, everyone. Please let me know in the chat box if you can hear my voice well. Perfect. Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to get started. Thank you so much for joining today. Feel free to use the chat box for asking questions, and please mute yourself. Make sure that any questions that you have, just feel free to express and write down throughout, and I'll be happy to answer them as I go along with today's webinar. All right. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Leonard. If you don't know me, I am the founder of Life Scripting, which is a modality for holistic healing and manifestation. And what it is used for is it has so many different things that it can help you with. And one of them is the Akashic Records, which is our main topic for today. So before I dive into the Akashic Records, make sure you have a paper and a pen, because you're going to be taking a lot of notes that's going to help you understand it better, how to use some tools from it. And at the end, the last 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to give you a short energetic meditation where you're going to experience and explore what the Akashic Records can feel like and what it can do for you. So jumping back into the idea of life scripting, the modality. So what life scripting teaches you eventually is about self-mastery. So learning how to do certain energetic healing, knowing how to do breath work, conscious connected breathing in an energetic manner as well. So this is not yoga or breathing exercises, it's healing through the breath. Learning how to develop your intuitive abilities. So if you're clairvoyant, it can activate and enhance that. If you're clairaudient, that means you hear things. It can activate and enhance, and whatever other psychic or intuitive abilities you have that are suppressed or hidden, this is going to help to open that up. Plus, it's going to help with manifestation ability. So to manifest properly, so that it does not backfire, it does not harm you or harm anyone else. Also doing it on a long-term level. So rather than manifesting for only short-term situations, knowing that you are really creating the life that you desire throughout your whole experience in this body that you're in right now. So where is Akashic Records in all of this? Akashic Records is the first training that I teach where you need to know how to access it, what is the benefits of this, how you can use it on a day-to-day basis, and what is it really? This is all the things that we're going to tackle. So let's start with the simplest definition of Akashic Records. First of all, this is not really an English word because it comes from the Sanskrit term called Akash. Akash means ether. Ether is one of the elements that exists. So we have fire, we have water, we have air, and we have earth. So ether is the other one, which is a space, not the space where the planets are, but space as in the energetic field. And by us, we need to connect to this energetic field so we can receive healing and information. Okay, remember, healing and information. Now, if you Google Akashic Records, you're most probably going to see, first of all, pictures of a library. I'm going to tap into the library concept for you so you understand why is library in the first place there. Also, the other common thing that you might see when you Google Akashic Records is past lives. Now, I need to tell you that past lives is just a small portion of Akashic Records. Don't get trapped with the idea that, okay, I need Akashic Records because I need to tap into my past lives. That's just a very limited way of using this powerful energetic space. The purpose of Akashic Records that exists, it's basically, now remember, this is esoteric knowledge. This is spiritual knowledge. It's not psychology. It's not medicine. It's esoteric. So understand what esoteric means. That means it's understanding the things in the invisible world, understanding in the world of energy. So you need to have some level of open-mindedness or acceptance that esoteric teachings do exist. If you don't, then most of the things that I'm going to say now might not make much sense to you. So remember that we are tapping into spiritual and esoteric knowledge. So according to esoteric teachings, the purpose of our soul is to have multiple lessons in a lifetime or multiple lifetimes. And these lessons are going to help us to evolve, to reach to a level of enlightenment. Enlightenment meaning that we no longer carry any kind of burden. We have a profound understanding of the emotions and the thoughts, and we go beyond thoughts. So it's no longer that I am loved, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm alone. It's beyond thoughts. So you go and become of who you really are, your true light self. And for us to reach to that point, we need to go through multiple lessons, experiences. Not necessarily it has to be challenging, but us as human beings, because we have something called an ego, the ego is made up of different personalities, different characteristics, different understandings that comes and stems from our ancestors, that comes and stems from past lives, if we believe in past lives. So we are here to overcome the challenges, learn these challenges, and then move to the next level. But with overcoming these lessons and challenges, we are here to also create the life that we want, because we are becoming conscious beings, conscious human beings, where we realize that, oh, I have free will and I can shift certain possibilities for myself. Now, remember, I'm using the word certain. Why am I not using the word 100%? Because this is a level of mastery to achieve. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but certain masters who walked on earth, they have been able to eradicate almost every single lesson that they had to do, and they went into an enlightenment phase. So the ego, of course, would want to eradicate everything, to live in happiness and peace and positivity. It wants that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is ready to have that, or it is excited to have that. So this is where we mostly have our entanglements. This is where we have our discrepancies and our conflicts. I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say you want the best love story in your life, okay? And you want to be with a partner that you're going to live the best love story. However, you could have a conflicting thought, conflicting belief, which is like, oh, I'm afraid of commitment. I'm afraid that I can get cheated on. I'm afraid that this person will walk away and leave me. So you might be unaware of what is there in the background of the subconscious, and what you're wanting is completely different of what's happening in the background of the subconscious mind. So this is what creates a conflict. And these are classical examples of why manifestations don't work. Because you're wanting something, you're hoping for something, you're praying for something, but there is a baggage in the background that is conflicting with what it is that you want. So how does this all tie in the Akashic Records? In the Akashic Records, you have, I call it the hub of knowledge, the hub of information. Every single thought that you have ever had as a being, when I say a being, I mean assuming your multiple lifetimes that exist, every single thought that you've ever had, every single emotion you've ever had, every single action that you've ever taken is recorded. It's written. It's there. It's in the energetic field. Now, for our mind to understand, or for our energetic feeling for us to connect to, it's considered like a library because it's information. And this is why many times when we access the Akashic Records, many people do end up seeing a library without even knowing in advance. So this is not your mind making it up. It is an energy field that does have that frequency of that information, or that vibration of what it looks like as a library. Now, what's the point of all of this? So when we access it, of course, the ego is always curious, would love to know certain things, not necessarily about the future, but wants to know why certain things are in a way, especially when we go into challenges. I'm sure that most of you have said the question, why me? Why am I going through this? Why do I have to go through this? I haven't done anything wrong. Why am I suffering this way? Now, this is the issue, that we tend to look at life in a very narrow and limited way. We probably look at life from the moment we're born up till now. Many times you don't even remember what you did at the age of 5 or what you thought at the age of 12 or 15, right? And you're just looking at your current life. And as you go along, you're probably wondering why certain things are happening and why certain things are not happening. So now, if we look at, this is an example I usually share. I tell people that imagine that there is this one infinite line, a string, okay? You can imagine it, whatever color it is. And this is your whole experience as a soul, okay? It doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an ending. And you are at one point in that experience, or in that one point of that string right now. So when you are going to go on a healing journey or a manifestation journey, or you want to understand something to change, the whole point is to move from that dot, from that point to the next level on a conscious level. And let's assume you have a certain challenge that you have to go through for the next 5 years. This is how it's written. This is how the frequency, or how the sequence of the situation is, right? Now, what can we do with the Akashic Records? We can minimize that timeline. So instead of that happening for 5 years, or going through that 5 years, we consciously choose to learn and understand the lesson, so we minimize the impact. Either we compress the time and it becomes at a shorter period, let's assume 3. I'm just giving numbers here for our mind to understand. It's not that simple, I would say. It is a bit more complex. But also what we can do is we develop certain traits, abilities, powers within ourselves, so understandings, emotional strength, so that we know how to overcome those experiences. So you end up understanding a future possibility, that what can happen, but also you know how to overcome it and to heal it. This is why I say Akashic Records is not meant for you to just go in and get information and just leave, okay? Because what are you going to do with the information after all? It's like reading thousands of books and not applying anything from it, or not learning something from it, just accumulating information. So when you're accessing the Akashic Records, you can get information, but then you have to do something about that information. Either you are going to heal it, resolve it, or you are going to work towards manifesting a different outcome. Now, is there a certain rule or a timeline of how frequently you can do such a thing, or how often you can do? No one person is the same as the other. Remember that one long black line, or that long line that I was sharing? You could be at a certain point, somebody else can be at a different point. So you could both be having similar challenges, but you could be at the ending of that challenge. And so your healing can take much faster of a period of time. Let's say it can take you 3 months, assuming. The other person having a very similar challenge as you might take them 5 years for it. So what makes it different? It's not necessarily that, oh, I didn't access the Akashic Records accurately, or I didn't do the healing right. It's because I am not at that point of that transformation. And plus, most importantly, I did not get the lesson and apply the lesson. Because the Akashic Records is there to remind us of what patterns we have, what belief systems we have, what emotional traits we have, which can be our burden, which can be our saboteurs. So here's another thing to understand. The most common way that has been told is that you can access Akashic Records through hypnosis. This is far from the truth. You don't only need hypnosis to access Akashic Records. It's all about tuning in the energetic frequency. So now this is not at this point tangible yet. There are no machines to measure this, which is why if someone asks me, how do you know? How do you know I went to the Akashic Records? Well, I don't have the machine to tell you for that. It's your practice and your feeling and your changes that you see is what's going to prove that to you. I'm sure one day we will have machines that will measure it. So it's very important that when you are doing something on an energetic level, on an esoteric level, on a spiritual level, is you need to understand that when people question it and they want to understand it from the analytical mind, you cannot understand these things through your cognitive or your conscious mind as much because you don't have a measuring machine for it. Unless there is a measuring machine, which is how medicine works, which is how certain practices work when it comes into the medical field. They measure it, they do the research, they evaluate it, and they say, well, this is what it says. Just like a blood test when you do it. You see the number and you believe that you have X, Y, Z. So when it comes to accessing these forms of realms, the mind is like, I get this all the time. Was that my mind making it up? Did I just create that? And my answer always is this. If your mind was able to create such a scene or an idea or a thought, that means it's somewhere there in your energy field. You can't create something that is not present. It's impossible. Now, you might have not thought about it consecutively, or you might have not given enough importance to it continuously, but that doesn't mean you are just faking something. It must be there. If you saw a scene, that means it is there in your energy field, in the subconscious of your soul. If you felt something, that means it's within your cellular memory, within your energetic DNA. So if you're going to try and understand all of this through your logical mind, then you're kind of wasting your time because you're trying to measure it through something that machine doesn't work, which is why my advice is always this. When you try to do such a thing, you need to measure it by seeing how you felt before and how you feel after, how you thought about a belief before and how you think of the belief after. And the third thing is how you acted before and how you act afterwards. Now, when I say afterwards, this can be within a few days, it can be within a few weeks, where you start to see that there are shifts within your own consciousness. Here's an example. Let's say you have a fear of something. Okay, so why don't you write it down right now? Because at the end of today's session, let's try and tackle that fear. Can you please put it into a sentence on your piece of paper on your phone and say, I am afraid of, and just write it down. Don't make a list of all your fears. Remember, the mind is not ready to always eradicate everything quickly. It can be so overwhelming. And the reason why it can be overwhelming is because you do not want to shock your system with dramatic and drastic changes. And when you shock your system that way, the mind gets confused and you start to say, who am I? What is this? Why is this happening to me? So we never force a shift within ourselves. We aim towards the change. We aim towards understanding, but we also let the timing and the pace to happen in the most peaceful and harmonious way. So if you've written down something that you're afraid of, at the end of today's session, we're going to tackle it through the Akashic Records. And obviously, whatever you've written down as a fear, obviously the emotion is there. So the emotion of fear is there, right? And there is a thought behind that fear. Let's say I'm afraid of being alone. You've written that down, let's say. Okay, so I'm afraid of being alone. You are saying a belief which is about loneliness. So that's a thought. And then there's the emotion of fear, which is there. Now, there are reactions that you usually have for this. What are your reactions? Where you start to create this panicky attitude, where you start to become desperate in your behavior. Let's say if this is in a love context and you're dating someone, you're always looking at your phone, you're waiting for them to reply back, or you're hoping that, oh, this can be the right person for me. So these are your reactions. They are on autopilot because you have that certain emotion and you have that certain thought, right? So when we do the clearing of this in your Akashic Records, I would like you to observe and notice for the next week to 2 weeks, how much has this minimized? I'm not going to say 100%. It's not impossible, but just so that you do not create any disappointment, right? Expecting like there's a magic pill. See how much this has been minimized, 50%, 60%, 95%, depending where you are at in your experience in your human body to eradicate this fear. So this is something that we can do in the Akashic Records. Why can we do it in the Akashic Records, and why is it important? You can do this form of clearing or healing in the Akashic Records because you are going to the core of your existence. What is your core of existence? Your soul and your higher self. The soul is where you have all the memories from all the bodies that you have had. Again, assuming that you believe in past lives. If you don't believe in past lives, if we want to delete that thought, it's the experience that you've had from the moment you are in your mother's womb until now. So that soul that you have that came into the mother's womb until now in this body, this name that you have right now, you have experiences. So we are going through the origin of that, which is your soul. Why it felt that way? Why is it still feeling a certain way? Why does it have that thought? Is it imitating or taking something from an ancestor? Is it imitating something from the parents and continuing to experience that, right? So you look at it from that perspective and we clear it from the Akashic because that's the hub, that's the original place. We're not only working on your subconscious mind. We're not working only on the body that you have. We're going through the actual core. And when you work at that frequency, now, if we agree on the idea that there are multiple energies and vibrations and frequencies that exist, how do you know that? It's about the level of light that you feel. So here's a very simple example. When you're feeling happy and excited, your energy feels lighter. People want to be around you. People will enjoy your presence and they want to gravitate towards you. Now, if someone is even negative, who is trying to be around you, they might end up wanting to take that energy out of you because that's powerful. Light is more powerful than darkness because what it does, it's a giving energy. It can expand and it can give and it can fuel. Dark energy sucks the life out of you, depletes you. So when you are in that uplifted state, that's when you are light. That's when you are frequently in your frequency and in your vibration, you're vibrating at a higher speed, at a higher level. So things become smoother, things become more harmonized and more joyful. Now, that is a way that you start to feel lighter. So usually when we are accessing the Akashic Records, most of the experiences are light, unless we are tackling a very heavy karma where you can end up feeling that heaviness, but eventually you feel it also leave your mind and leave your body. The other thing is, the reason why we are using the Akashic Records to do these things is because we don't want to work on the same topic hundreds of times. We want to go to the core and we want to clear it and also manifest it. And then we just need to give it some time for it to take place in the physical world, in the human body here on earth that you're living in. So in my experience and in my teachings, when I focus on the Akashic Records, it's not only a library experience. There are so many other things that are going on. And I'm going to share with you the 4 things that I teach in my life scripting level 1 training. So if you join me for that, which is next weekend, you're going to learn how to access all these 4 areas, and you're going to know why you're accessing each one. So I'm going to share the names with you, and let's explore and what is the purpose of each one. So when you learn to go to the Akashic Records, there is a place where I've discovered called the healing chamber. So it's a chamber, it's an energetic frequency where you can go and heal your mind, your body, and your energy. It feels and looks like a very relaxing space. So again, this is for the mind to understand and feel. And there are energetic, remember, these are esoteric knowledge. Again, I repeat that. There are energetic frequencies that help the cells and the DNA that you have, energetic DNA I'm talking. I'm not here to change the color of your eye, to change the color of your hair. Not just yet. We're not at that level yet. But the energetic DNA is the memories that we have. You know, when they say junk DNA, where scientists still don't know what to do with that and what to access with that, is because they don't have the measuring tool for it. See, that is when we are going to, I believe that in this lifetime that we are living in, we are going to experience those tools. We're going to experience those measuring machines where they say, oh, this is what your junk DNA is about, which is your ancestral memories, the emotions that you're carrying, the feelings that you're carrying, the thoughts that you're carrying, and the trauma that you have, and the gifts that you have. This is where it's all there. So when we go to the Akashic Records of the Healing Chamber, over there is something that we do deactivations and activations. We activate, that means we want to bring in those powerful emotions and thoughts that are going to be there to stay within your system where your thought process starts to change. So if you were afraid of something, suddenly you're like, why am I afraid of this? It doesn't make sense. It needs to reach to a level where it does not make sense to you. So if you're afraid of something, or you're worried about something, or you're angry about something, how does the change happen? When a part of you suddenly realizes, wakes up that I don't see any necessity, value, or meaning in having these emotions. You can never convince someone logically to get rid of a fear or an anger. You can talk to them for hours. And this is why many times therapy can be limiting. Not that it's not powerful or necessary. It is. It's part of life. It's part of the healing world that exists. But what it can do is it can just help you understand things, but it cannot convince you to just miraculously get rid of an emotion. And this is why we have things like spiritual work, or we have energetic work here, where we are going in to the energy of you, your subconscious, your energetic DNA, your cellular memory, and we are deactivating, we're clearing. Where the most common word where I hear from people is after a session is like, I feel weird. Why do they feel weird? Because their logical mind cannot understand what just happened, because it was not done through a logical cognitive process or from an analytical process. So healing chamber is one thing. So we learn how to do healing there, how to resolve thoughts and emotions and belief systems, how to get rid of patterns that we have. If we've repeatedly been experiencing certain things over and over again, like saboteurs, sabotaging experiences, negative experiences, then we know how to tackle it over there. Now, the other part is part of the Akashic Records training, but it will take you level 2 and 3 for you to master that even more, which is the Master's Roundtable Chamber. The Master's Roundtable Chamber is where I go and access information, where I do my readings. So if any of you have done Akashic Records reading with me, not healing, is where I'm here asking your guides and your higher self and your soul on what do I need to know about you? What is your purpose? Why are you here? Is there a necessary past life that I need to know about that can give you any information about why you're going through a certain situation right now? Any future possibilities? The most common Akashic Records readings that I do is either we are looking at the future, where I do it in a very timeline manner, like let's have a look at every single month. So now we are in August. If a person comes to me, I usually do it till the end of the year. Or in December when they come, we're doing the next year full reading for 2025. So we're looking at possibilities, healings that need to happen, certain people that need to be in your life, if there are any guides, if there are any lessons, anything that comes to us. Remember, intuition is not meant to be limited. And intuition is also not meant to give you the information that you only want to hear. So if you get disappointed ever when you get a reading done, really ask yourself, are you upset from the reading because you didn't hear what you wanted to hear? Or was the person really there to sit and harm you and to just plant these negative ideas in you? It's a very important question to ask when you ever do any kind of psychic work or any kind of reading. So we learn in level 1 how to access the Master's Roundtable. And we also learn certain spirit guides' names that can help you. These are guides' names that have existed throughout human history. They are archangels, they are ascended masters. Again, this falls under the esoteric teaching category, doesn't fall under any kind of religious category, where we learn like maybe some of you have heard the word like Archangel Michael, where his job is to help clear any negativity or any cords. So we use Archangel Michael's energy to assist us for a certain manner. It's a fun experience that we do, especially on day 2, where you learn how to recognize them and know who do you really need to speak to ask. I call them the invisible team of helpers. Why are they invisible team of helpers? Because no healer or no individual should boast about saying, I'm doing everything by myself. No, we have a spirit team that is assisting us, protecting us, and guiding us. And the more you become humble and allow that, your life will become way easier. So that's the second chamber that we use in life scripting Akashic Records. The third one is the timeline chamber. Now, this is where you end up developing also your, remember, Akashic Records Masters Roundtable is where you develop your intuition. In the timeline chamber, you also develop your intuition where you want to pick up on certain lifetimes information from there. So maybe some of you can see scenes that can give you information. Some of you might feel things like, I feel like this is heavy. I don't know why I'm feeling heavy. I feel something is off. I feel that I'm being trapped. Okay, so you're getting information there and you don't understand why all of that is. Every single time you can end up experiencing things that has maybe nothing to do with your current situation. But once you understand it and analyze it, you realize, oh, okay, that is why I'm feeling or seeing that, because that's the connection. It's like a domino effect, helping me to see and understand what's really going on. So we do that through the timeline chamber. Now, here's my most common question that I get, that if, Maria, you're not doing hypnotherapy and you're not going through the hypnosis process, how can I see things? And my answer is, you don't need the subconscious hypnotherapy process to be able to see and feel things. You need an energetic attunement. The energetic shift that happens is what you end up learning in the life scripting. And when you receive just a session, let's say you're just receiving a session with me, then in the session, I am tuning that energy. Again, no measuring tool to tell you how that's happening. It's just something you end up feeling, knowing, experiencing, and going through that. The fourth chamber that we have is the famous Hall of Records. Again, these are terms that I ended up receiving, channeling to create the modality back in 2019. And the Hall of Records is where the famous library is. Now, why do we use that? Now, this is one of my favorite places because this is where we work with karma. Let me give you the definition of karma that I've understood, that I've used, and that I believe in. The definition of karma is the action and the reaction of situations, where if you simply, like if you throw a ball to the wall, it's going to bounce back at you. Not because the wall hates you, not because you are a good or a bad person. It's just an action and a reaction. Now, of course, we really don't want reactions happening in our lives that are heavy, right? Or that are negative. But that's the thing, again, we don't remember or realize that we have possibly done certain things in our lives for us to experience certain challenges, or we have certain beliefs that have made us experience or led us to experience these things. So what do we do in the Hall of Records? We use the energy of the violet flame. The violet flame is considered an energetic frequency where can eradicate, transmute anything that is heavy and dense in our lives. So if you have something that is repetitively happening over and over again, and you have done so many things and nothing is changing, then it is time for you to access your Akashic Records, the Hall of Records, to burn, this is the terms that we use, to burn those books, the heavy ones. We're not burning your life. People sometimes freak out thinking that we are changing your destiny and we are manipulating things. No, we are not doing any of that. We don't have that level of power. So let's not jump into those conclusions. What we are doing is the heaviness, the energy, that guckiness that we have the will and we have the free will to be able to eradicate that and transmute that. So we burn them in the violet flame. Now, things like if you've made certain promises in certain lifetimes where you'd say like, I will never be rich. Being rich is a bad thing. So let's say you made that very strong, powerful promise to yourself. And now in this lifetime, you're struggling with money, saying, why is this happening to me? Why am I not being able to make any money, or any money that I make, it's starting to fade away or just melt away? What's really going on? Well, this is what happens when you can be fully unaware that you might have made a vow, or you might have picked up a vow or a promise from your ancestors, and you're repeating that unconsciously in your system. So this is why you end up clearing, burning, and deactivating it in the violet flame. So the Akashic Records, we are doing that in the Hall of Records, but remember I talked about manifestation as well. Manifestation is where I know that many of you would probably know about affirmations. Now, I'm going to talk quickly about the world of affirmations. Affirmations are considered the modern prayers. Why are they considered modern prayers? Because any human being sits and makes a list of sentences, a paragraph, and starts saying it over and over again with a sense of faith, with a sense of strong emotional power to it, believing it's going to happen. Now think about prayer. If you have faith and you say a certain verse, and those verses have been written through holy individuals who have been guided to make those verses, then again, those have been written not by you, by others. You believe in them, you resonate with the words, and you say them. So the modern prayers of affirmations are specifically created, curated, designed that it can meet your own needs and your wants, so that it can help you to create the life that you want. Now, here's a thing that I've again heard many times when people say, Maria, I've done a lot of affirmations and it's not working. Well, let me tell you why it cannot work. First of all, the affirmation that you're going to be saying needs to be the complete opposite of what you subconsciously feel about something. So let's say if the situation was like, oh, I want to be with someone, I want to have the love of my life. And if you kept on writing down that I have the love of my life. Now, if you have a hidden belief that having someone in my life will suffocate me, because you might have a fear of commitment, let's say, right? So that thought that I can have someone will suffocate me is way stronger because it's been there for a very long time, and it gives you a sense of purpose. It adds value to you without you knowing, of course. Majority of the time, you're not even aware of it. And then you end up just writing all these beautiful sentences, and there's this huge portion of you not believing in it, or a huge portion of you believing in it for 5 days and then you give up because you're like, oh, this is so tiring, it's not working out. So in these cases, it's important, first of all, to deactivate and clear. I'm using these terms, deactivate, because this is what we use in life scripting. Deactivate means you clear, activate means you bring it into your life. So you harness that energy in your system. So when you first deactivate that, that means you're removing the burden out of the way. And then when you add an affirmation, which is going to be very specifically created for you without having to harm anyone else, which is why we never use anybody's name, without limiting you with a timeline, which is why I prefer not to put a timeline like, oh, this year. No, we always use the word now, because time is always about now. It's not the past or the future. The mind doesn't know that difference. The mind worries about the future, but it's in this present moment worrying about it. So we always use the word now. We don't use people's names. And we end up learning how to use certain words that can really trigger your inner subconscious so that it can help you manifest. Now, that's the affirmation writing aspect or saying aspect. But here's the next level. Where is all your thoughts? Remember what I said at the beginning. Where are all your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your karma written? In the Akashic, in the hub of information. So when you are saying an affirmation just in your 3D world, just in your human world, then this is going to take you a long period of time for that to work out, which is why we need to take all of that you've said, that you've written, that you felt, that you want, and plant it in your Akashic records in what we call the book of life, in your energy field. So how is this happening? Again, it's an energetic thing that we go to the Hall of Records. Now, this can help for people just for their visualization purpose, that there is a white book with a golden pen. This is for energetic reasons again. When I say those words, like you have a white book and a golden pen, it's not because there is really a white book or a golden pen. Even if your mind sees it, there's no problem with that. But we're using the energy of purity, the highest frequency of white, and we're using the highest frequency of golden. And when we script that, again, this is one of the reasons why life scripting got created, the term. When you script that, you're actually planting it on a soul level, which is why you must know what are you really choosing to want for the future. I need to make sure that when I help people with manifestation, I don't just go in and just say, yes, definitely. Is this what you want? Definitely, I'm going to make that happen for you. I first interrogate, ask a lot of questions to see what is the real purpose of what are you wanting behind that. Because many times there are certain things that when you realize that you've asked for certain things, that you want certain things, but it's coming out of a certain negative thought. And then once that negative thought is out, you don't even want that thing anymore. I hope that makes sense. It's quite like a loop, a complex loop that we get stuck in. So we learn how to use certain words, certain phrases, so that it can access the mind can absorb it, receive it, accept it, and then we end up activating it and scripting it. Now, I do know, again, I need to compare it so that you can understand the difference. I do know that in hypnosis, what they do is they put you in a hypnotic state, and then they end up using affirmation words, statements to plant it in your subconscious mind. It can be very similar to that, but like I said, it has no hypnosis process involved in it, which is why we cannot identify it or say it in that manner. The whole, as you will experience now in a few minutes, the whole axis of the Akashic Records to go up, I usually say you're going up, it basically takes you about 3 to 4 minutes. And then for you to come back down, it takes you 3 to 4 minutes. So it's not really a process where I'm taking your energy slowly or your subconscious into that deep trance state. Something with the energy does that for you. And most people say, oh, I feel peaceful. Oh, I feel lighter. Now, is it possible, just some questions that I can pick up from the energy of the group, intuitively speaking, and in general from my experience, is it possible that you can go to the Akashic Records and not be able to benefit from it? Impossible. Why? Because the Akashic Records is not for me and for only some of you. It is for all of us. The soul, the higher self, does reside there. It has information there, and it's part of your hub. Okay? It's like saying, is there someone that cannot access their own brain? No, everyone can do that. Everyone can access their own brain. So it is your right, it is your birthright to understand yourself better. Another question, can I go and access somebody else's Akashic Records and manipulate things? Well, with my technique of life scripting, you can't do that because there are so many protocols that we do on an energetic level that we're asking for the highest energy that you cannot able to access it. I mean, in my experience, even sometimes when people ask for a reading for themselves, there have been incidents where I would tell them, I really wanted to access it, but I'm not getting the green light right now. We're not allowed to access it right now for whatever reason it is. So I either give them a refund or we wait for the right timing to happen. So it's something that it's not meant for you to go and say, oh, let me see what my mother's Akashic is like, or my boyfriend's Akashic Records is like, or the neighbor's Akashic Records. It doesn't work that way. There is a divine intelligence involved in this. So, and that manipulation cannot happen. At least I am 100% sure, and not in my life scripting technique. So another thing, another question that people usually ask is, what if, I kind of said that at the beginning, what if my mind is making up all of these things? Okay, so if your mind is making up either a positive or a negative situation, then that information, that energy is there for you anyway. You hadn't accessed it, you were unaware of it, but you have it within you. Now, very good question. How do you convince someone to do an Akashic reading or can telepathically influence him? No, you don't convince anyone. Mind your own business. Sorry for the blunt answer. But I always say that, trust me, I've been there years ago where I was like, oh, I want to know what this person's thinking and how I really know if they access it, it will benefit them. I know that we're doing this on a human level. I know that we have the privilege to learn these things at this point in time and to understand these things. But still, there is something beyond me, beyond you, as a power, as a source, as a force that will make sure that you do not mess anything up. There is something like that. I've been doing this for more than 15 years, and I know there has never been an incident where someone has been able to mess anything up. Something will stand in the way. And when I created life scripting, again, I have to talk for myself. I can't talk for other modalities or other healers. But when I was trying to come up with something that can really make sure that it's safe for everyone, possible for everyone, super simple for everyone, my key focus was, how can we do it in the most safest way possible? That you are protected, that you do not get drained, that you do not get negatively affected. So that's why when you learn life scripting, Akashic Records, you'll see that there are so many steps at the beginning that I teach you, and you'll know why each step exists, because it's helping you to realize that, oh, that's why I will not get negatively influenced if I give someone else a healing, or if I give someone a reading. The other thing is, people usually think that if they learn Akashic Records, they're immediately going to be readers or psychics. Again, it doesn't really work that way, because to become an Akashic Records reader, you do need to purify your energy field. Your energy field is your chakras, it's your auric field. And why is that purity necessary? Because when you want to be a channel, when you want to be a portal, you can't be subjective. Now, is there such a thing as 100% objectivity? In my honest opinion, no, but there is a 90% objectivity when you do someone's reading. And that is when you are being very honest with yourself with the message that you do that. You learn how to purify in the healing experience. Okay, that's why you learn life scripting. So you are making sure that your aim is to only know the truth and not to get the messages that you only want, or not to know how to manipulate or convince someone. Because if you are thinking, and I know we've all thought of that, I'm saying I've done it as well, thinking and trying to find that and be curious. If you're trying to convince or telepathically access someone's, or trying to convince someone, then you really need to ask yourself, what are you trying to gain out of this? And if your answer is like, well, it's the good for them, if that's your very honest answer, then the good for them that you can do is where I'll answer all your questions. I can see them. The good that you can do for them is to clear things within yourself, to see that why are you being so focused on them? Okay. Always go back to your own self first. And that's the most honest and most moral thing that you can ever do. Angelic numbers exist. I have an article for that. You can go to my Instagram page and you can just scroll to the link in bio, and you can see the articles that an article that I've written for Cosmo about the numbers. The numbers are a way that the angels connect to us so that we can understand it, because our mind understands it in the easiest way. The other common thing is they send us specific signs like objects. The most common is feathers. But numbers are a form of sequence. Numerology is a form of intuitive work. It's a form of an analysis that exists on the planet. It is also part of sacred geometry as well. So it's not only mathematics that we can think from an analytical perspective. It does have a lot of deep work over there. Is this similar to Theta healing? From everyone who has learned with me, from hypnotherapists, Theta healers, Reiki practitioners, Access Bar practitioners, what else? What other modalities? Coaches, life coaches. No one has told me so far. My name is the Instagram page, Maria Leonard. I am Maria Leonard. No one has told me so far it's similar to such a thing. So that's my answer from their experience. But I'll also add to it is that every modality that exists has a similarity in a sense. Every modality is somehow, at least, there are categories. You have categories of energy work, where it is there to help with your chakras, with your auric field. There is no such a thing that, let's say, whether you're doing Reiki, whether you're doing pranic healing, whether we are doing life scripting, we're still focusing on certain chakras. Root chakra is still going to exist. It's not going to change in another modality. It's still there. It's about the depth of something that you can go into. Or let's say when you're focusing on the subconscious mind, hypnotherapy has been known that it's mind science. It's helping you to access the subconscious mind. So is that the only way to access it? No. There are so many ways that you can access the subconscious mind. My answer usually is when you get drawn to a modality, it's two things. It's that the modality has a karma with you. Very honestly speaking, the modality has a karma with you. It doesn't have to be negative in any way. So that means you have that deep connection with it. The other thing is that you also have, you resonate with the teacher or with the healer who teaches you that. So it's a combination of these two things. It's not necessarily that one is right or the other. However, you also need to understand that when you have a certain issue, you need to know what you need to do with it. So like I said, let's say if you are tackling a belief system, you can't just go and get Reiki done because Reiki is not focusing on your belief system. It's just sending you energy. When I say just, I'm not belittling the work, but that's what it's doing. It's sending you energy to balance your energies out, to calm you down, to align you back. Does that necessarily eradicate thoughts? It really doesn't. That takes a lot of effort and understanding from a subconscious level where we need to access beliefs and energies. Past life regression, the term, again, let's understand terminologies, guys. Past life regression is a terminology, which means you go back to your past life. It is not a modality. Akashic Records is not a modality. Akashic Records is the term. So you can access past life regression even in breath work. When I teach people conscious connected breathing, I've seen most of my past lives through breathing. I didn't even know what Akashic Records was. So because I was in that deep trance through my breathing, I was able to access it. Some people access past lives through hypnotherapy. So understand whenever you use a word, is it a modality or is it a term on an energy field or an understanding of that? For example, family constellation is a term of a modality. How is it different from family constellation? If you've done family constellation and what I explained right now, I'm assuming you should be able to see the difference. Because in family constellation, what are you accessing? Family members, ancestors, and that's it. Are you sitting and manifesting? Are you sitting and scripting? Are you sitting and watching? Except you're watching people in front of you or certain let's say, dolls that you might use depending on how you're doing the process. So I'm assuming you should already have understood the difference from that. At what age did I learn Akashic Records? What age did I learn? I've always been able to access spiritual knowledge as the age of 7 and 8, if that adds any value to this whole thing that I explained, right? Okay, so we have 8 minutes left. So I just want you to sit up straight with your spine straight, keeping your feet on the ground. And I want you to close your eyes so that you can access the Akashic Records, particularly to overcome the fear that you wrote down a few minutes ago. That's going to be the purpose, okay? So the purpose is we want to work towards the fear that you have through the Akashic Records by just going into one of the chambers, and that's it. So please put your feet on the ground, make your spine straight, close your eyes, and keep your palms open, facing upwards. Now, take 3 deep breaths through the nose. And bring your full focus towards your heart. Allow yourself to see and feel a beautiful golden energy radiating out of your heart, covering every cell of your body. And all your energy bodies. You are now in a deep golden ball of light. And you will start floating, leaving the space that you're in right now. Leaving the city and leaving planet Earth. I'm going to count from 5 to 1, and when I say 1, you'll be deeply connected to your Akashic Records. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your energy is now fully connected to the Akashic Records. And you'll be guided to go to a space called the Healing Chamber. Lie down on the healing bed made of crystals and minerals and sacred symbols. We're calling upon your higher self, your spirit team, to be fully present. And first, we're going to cleanse your energy lines, starting from the left side of your body. Cleansing all the meridians. Moving towards the middle, cleansing and purifying your Kundalini. And moving towards the right. We are now going to deactivate the fear that you have. Deactivating it now from your subconscious mind, your cells, and your DNA. We're going to now deactivate the thought that is behind that fear. Deactivating it now from your cellular memory and your DNA. We're now going to deactivate the reactions that you have because of this fear, and we're deactivating it fully now. We're now activating inner peace. And we're activating joy and excitement. Finally, we're going to activate a golden ball of full protection around you. Now you will gently leave your Akashic Records. And you'll go back into the heart of the earth, grounding yourself. Bring your focus towards your feet and create deep golden roots. Let's gently bring the energies up now from your roots towards your feet. Towards your knees. The base of your spine. Towards your heart. Towards your throat. And towards the top of your head. Whenever you're ready, please take 3 deep breaths and open your eyes. All right, everyone, welcome back. Feel free to type in for the last few minutes. Feel free to type in if you have any questions or experiences from this. It exactly can feel like a meditation. It feels that someone is guiding you on a meditation and your mind is in and out. However, the results of it is going to start to kick in within 3 days, within a week, within 2 weeks. So my advice for you is to observe for the next 2 weeks how different you feel through that specific fear that you wrote down, through the thought that you have behind it, through the reactions that you have, and see how different you are with your reactions regarding fear. Has it been minimized? Are you feeling more lighter? Are you feeling more confident? And another thing is it can also bring up awareness for you, where you can start to realize that, oh, this is why I have that fear. So it can bring you that understanding as well, which if that understanding comes in, that means your conscious mind needs to know it. If that understanding doesn't come in, that means you don't need to know it. It just had to be eliminated from your system. Remember, not every single thing that you heal, resolve, must be understood through the mind. Some things, yes, some things, no. If there is value in it, if your higher self wants you to go through that, if it is going to bring you any necessity or any value, then you will know it. So expect for yourself to come into realizations as well if it's necessary. Remember, I use the word particularly, if you remember, feel or see. This is a reason why I said this is not hypnotherapy. You don't need to see anything. I'm not asking you to see anything. I am just guiding you through what is the energy doing for you, so that if you wish to follow, you can follow it. If you wish to fall asleep, that's also possible. So it's very normal for some of you not to see absolutely anything. So don't worry about it if that has been any of the case. Remember, it's about feeling or seeing. And then as a result, even if you fell asleep, even if you felt that your head is a bit heavy, even if you saw things, then just take a note of it. See what did it add to you. And if you saw some things, if you saw symbols, if you saw people, if you saw memories, just take a note, and gradually this can start to give you clues and hints, and you can end up understanding it. Just like anything in life, the more you practice it, the more better you become at it. So if you feel that this is something that can add to your life more value, not only to heal yourself, but also to help others, not only because there's something wrong with you that you need to heal, but for you to have the tool to understand how to navigate through this world, to become more resilient, to become more courageous, for you to understand how your emotions and your thoughts are working, how karma works, how certain guides work with you, and how you can work in the invisible world of the Akashic Records. So any information that you need, Illuminations, because this is done through Illuminations, they will be able to guide you for it, and you'll understand what is the process for level 1, 2, and 3. Remember, level 1 is purely Akashic Records with all the principles that we mentioned today. And then you have level 2, which goes deeper of Akashic Records and beyond, higher energy fields, even more than that. Level 3, you just tackle with all of these things, and also you work with elements such as the water, the fire. So there is so much that's happening in this esoteric world. It's 2 days next weekend, 24th and 25th, all morning till evening, so 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. More information, please contact Illuminations. And if you need any questions, only email is what I would respond to. So my email, I'm going to type it in the chat box. You can email me and expect an answer within a day. So my email is in the chat box. It's info@IamMariaLeonard.com. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. And if you felt that your head is a little bit heavy, know that the energy always comes from the higher crown and enters to the body. So you can tap the head, or you can have a nice shower with that awareness. You don't need to take Panadol. You're not having a headache. The energy has just started working around the chakra, the higher chakra, and then it starts to flow to the entire part of the body. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Good night.